What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, All Things Lakers Podcast, with your boy SoCal Max Sports. This is my first inaugural episode, so welcome. This is a Lakers fan channel, so I plan on dropping Lakers content all season long. So if you're a fan of the Lakers or a hater of the Lakers or just a fan of basketball and sports in general, then I think this will be a good channel for you. So if this is something that you feel you can follow, definitely drop a like on this video, subscribe, and hit that notification. Okay. Today's my first inaugural episode because today is Lakers Media Day 2021. This is usually the start of the new year, start of the season. So this is the perfect opportunity to drop my first video. The Lakers made a big splash this offseason, right? So let me just tell you a little bit about myself first before I start getting into all this. So I'm a Laker fan. Been a Laker fan. I think my first year being a true Laker fan was 1988. So I'm kind of aging myself right now. But yeah, 1988 was my first year of really paying attention and wanting to follow the Lakers, and I've been a Laker fan ever since. It's because of my cousins and uncles, everybody, they were all Laker fans, and so I had no choice. I grew up in Los Angeles. I grew up all over the place. Started in LA, ended up in the San Gabriel Valley, then up in the IE, and so yeah, I've been all over the place. So, but either way, I'm a veteran as well. So I spent some time in the U.S. Navy for about 5 years, and so now I'm out, and family, kids, wife, the whole nine. So right now, this is my time to kind of do something that I want to do, and this is what this channel is really going to be about. So me being a Laker fan, we were raised with having great players, starting with Magic and Kareem, and then going into Kobe and Shaq, and now this is, rest in peace, Kobe, rest in peace. But now we went over to the baby Lakers, and with Lonzo and Bi and the rest of that crew, and I was one of those Laker fans that wasn't sure about the AD trade because I didn't want to give up so much. I didn't want to mortgage the future. I was that guy, and then the trade actually happened, and I was happy, but not 100% happy until I seen AD play. I mean, not that I never saw him play before, but it's just the difference when you was actually rooting for the cat, and when you see him and LeBron and I was like, wow, I guess the trade was truly worth it. I, being a SoCal guy, I got a family that stay in Chino Hills. I'm a fan of the Ball family as well. So I did follow that family. I'm a fan of Lonzo, fan of Melo, fan of Jello. I really hope he can make a squad. I thought he was going to make it to Charlotte's training camp roster at least, but that didn't happen. But that's for another day, another time. But yeah, man, so it took me a while to get accustomed to, AD on the team. Hell, it took me a while to get accustomed to having LeBron on the team because, I respect LeBron, and I've grown to become a fan of LeBron. But when he was a Cleveland Cavalier or Miami Heat, I wasn't the biggest fan. And, part of it was just me being a Kobe fan, and people started to, I think prematurely trying to pass the mantle to LeBron over Kobe. A lot of people feel that, this GOAT discussion is only between, LeBron and MJ. And Kobe is just like dismissed out of the whole topic of conversation. And, I completely disagree with that. I still say Kobe is in the discussion. I have my reasons, and maybe I'll do a whole nother separate video on that. But for now, I really wanted to start this video as an introduction and also to kind of talk about the Lakers' upcoming season. As you know, they made a splash. They signed the biggest one of them all, and that's Russell Westbrook. Again, when I heard the rumor of Russell Westbrook possibly being traded, I was not in favor of it. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I wasn't in favor of it at all. I was really wanting Bradley Beal, of course, and if that didn't work out, I wanted the cat out of Sacramento, shooter, Buddy Hield. I really wanted him, but once that didn't happen, and they made the trade for Westbrook, I was really trying to kind of focus and wonder how that was going to work, because Westbrook is a whole offense by himself. He's not a role player. I don't think he's pretty much the offense, and he's so aggressive. He's not a great shooter. He's very, very ball dominant, and he does pass the ball, but he's more of a pass for an assist type of person, and not just pass the ball and kind of stand back. But that said, he has played with great players before. He did play with KD, and he did play with Harden and twice, and he did play with Bradley Beal last season. So I'm probably wrong, but really, I was wondering how this was going to fit. And so, come before media day, my thought was Russell was going to have to adjust his game to play with LeBron and AD and the rest of this cast. He was going to have to adjust his game. But after hearing media day, I'm hearing the talk from like LeBron that Russell doesn't have to adjust anything. They're going to have to adjust to him, get on his level. And that scares me a little bit. Okay, so this season is going to be a work in progress. I do think that they are favorites to definitely come out the West, and I definitely think that if they can get it together, and we can see a Lakers Brooklyn finals. Whew, that's gonna be one for the ages, and I definitely think that if whoever wins the injury game, meaning who can have the most players on the floor, will probably end up winning that series. Lakers are an older team. But I don't think they're too old like everyone says, but they are older. So let's not, we can admit that, right? We Laker fans, but we realists. We know this is an older team. I think what they got about 5 players that have 15 or 13 plus years experience. It's a pretty old team, but at the same time, they're still producing at some level. And we're not judging this team based on what the players did in the past. We're judging this team based on pretty much what they did last season. And then we're like, okay, well, if you can duplicate that for us, we should have a great squad. Okay, so I'm interested in hearing what they talked about. What some of the people are saying in media day today. AD was the first person to go up. So let's hear a little bit about what he said, and then we'll comment on that. Okay.
Yeah, hey, get up out of here. Oh, thank you, appreciate it. When I retire, I'm going on tour.
Good. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
And good luck this year. We're wondering, what were your thoughts during the off season about remaining healthier than you've been for a while?
I don't feel comfortable missing that many games. I've missed games in my career, but the Achilles missing 30, not being able to play at full strength in the playoffs against Phoenix, didn't play Game 5, that didn't sit well with me. And so I made an emphasis on just taking care of my body and getting my body back to what it was as far as strength-wise, my first year here. And that's what my biggest focus on this summer.
And with the moves that were made, what's going to be...
Okay, before I let him continue, he talked about, his health. And I think that that's the biggest concern that the NBA has, Laker fans have with AD. I mean, he's like people say all the time, he's a top 5 talent. But we need him to be a top 5 player. And the only way he can do that is by being on the floor. Whenever he's on the floor, he is an MVP candidate. Okay? And the fact that I'm hearing talk about him playing the center position this year more often, he's not going to play it all the time because we have, Dwight Howard, and we have, his name escapes me right now, but, he played with the Clippers and Brooklyn. And he's still a good shot blocker and rebounder. So we do have centers on his team. So there will be times where they're on the court and AD's playing the 4. But I think come playoff time, him playing the 5 is going to be absolutely necessary for us to move on in the playoffs. So I'm really excited about hearing about that. But he needs to be on the floor. I've never seen a man his size fall down so much. Every time he falls, it's like my heart skipped a beat. I'm fearful, and he likes to kind of malinger. He likes to sit on that floor and kind of lay there for a minute, probably just getting some rest. But every time he does that, I'm thinking, oh, here we go, out for 10 games, out for 20 games, and I don't want to feel that way. I want him to be on the floor because when he's on the floor, he's an MVP candidate, and I think he alone will make us unbeatable. Feel me? All right, let's continue on.
Be the big difference between the team this year and last year?
Well, we have a lot of vets, but we won't know until we get started. We're a lot older, but we got a lot more wisdom. Guys know how to play. And not saying the guys didn't last year, but with the veterans that we got, these guys been in the league for a long time, and so we can put a lot more complex stuff in, knowing that guys will understand it a lot quicker. But we won't know the difference until we be able to step on the floor tomorrow for camp, and then a couple preseason games to see where we are and what we can do to be successful this year. What's up, Kyle?
There was a report that when you and LeBron were talking to Russ about coming here, that you were talking about potentially playing more center. What is your expectation for playing center compared to maybe what you played in previous seasons for this team?
Yeah, that was the expectation, and that was discussed, and I expect to play center. I'm not sure, what's going to happen. Me and Frank talked about it a couple of times, and that's the plan. Right now, nothing is set in stone, but we want to see what that looks like. And
so he's saying all the right things about him playing center, but I'm looking at his face, and I'm hearing his tone, and I feel he's saying that because he probably knows that that's what needs to happen, but I truly believe he does not want to play center. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the physicality of the position or it's just his spot on the floor changes. So I'm not really sure what the reason is, but I know, he's more of a finesse type player, even though he has the skill set to be a bruiser. But that's just not what he likes. And, he does like to shoot the jumper and he does like to hit the 3. So I don't think that he wants to be boxed in as a center type, but he knows just because he's playing center is not like his game is going to change. It's just going to change the matchup. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to change the matchup on the floor, and that's what makes it him unstoppable. Okay, and so I think him playing center is going to be pretty much mandatory this year, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think with Westbrook's presence on the team and his brashness, I think he's probably gonna hey, this needs to happen. So I'm hoping for it. But let's continue on.
And I'm comfortable with that. Obviously, there's times where Dwight or DJ might get the start at center depending on games. But for the most part, I think the plan is to go with me playing center.
Specifically about Russ, what excites you about having him as a teammate, and how do you think he'll fit with yourself and LeBron?
His energy, his pace. You watch how he gets down the floor. And it was kind of the same thing when we had Doe a couple years ago. You know, you get the ball, and we pushing. And the same thing with Russ. Like you have to run, you know, because he's running, and so we don't want him to be the only one that's running the floor and pushing the ball. So for me, I'm very excited just, you know, running the floor with him. You know, elite passer, as we all know.
Okay, so let me stop right there. And what he said about Westbrook pushing the pace and getting out there, that is absolutely 100% correct. He is going to be doing that. Now, my concern with that is, well, we are an older team, right? I'm not saying we're too old. Excuse me. I'll edit that out. I'm not saying we're too old, but, you know, over the last couple years, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but the pace, the Lakers' pace with LeBron has been getting, you know, slower and slower. He likes to walk the ball up the court, be a little bit more methodical, allow AD to get his butt up the floor. So with Westbrook and with some of these older guys, I'm interested in seeing how that dynamic is going to work. I know the boys can run, but at the same time, is that what's going to start creating injuries? And that's my biggest fear of this team is the injury standpoint. So I'm interested in seeing how this is going to work. I think it's going to be beautiful when you look at it. But at the same time, are we going to become nicked up because of it? And so I think there has to be that healthy balance that, yeah, we're going to push at the right times. Not necessarily just be like a Kentucky where we're going to be out here pressing all game. I know we're not going to do that, but I'm just saying, you know, just slow it down at times. But at the same time, when we do slow it down and make it a half-court game, I think that's where Russell struggles as well. He does struggle in the half court. So this is where I had pause of having, you know, Westbrook on the squad. But like I said, these dudes are Hall of Famers, so I'm sure they can figure it out. But we got questions. I'm allowed to have questions. You know, been a Laker fan for quite a long time, so I'm allowed to have questions. I'm not saying they can't figure it out, but I do have some questions that I'm going to be looking to get answered throughout the season, and that's what this show is really going to be about. We're going to talk about the games, and we're going to look at what are they doing well, what they're not doing well. So I think this is going to be fun this year. So let's move on, and let's go to LeBron. Okay, hold on for a second.
Okay, all right. Bron, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. What's up?
See you again.
Good to see you too.
Good. Can you talk about your level of enthusiasm going into the season because of all the moves that have been made? And AD was also just talking about how you and some of your teammates are talking about the criticism about the age of this team and how that motivates you as well.
I'm super excited. I was excited. I mean, I've been up since like 5:30 this morning. You know, I was excited driving here this morning, getting ready for another season, getting ready to see my teammates. To be honest, getting ready to see you guys. I mean, I missed you guys and some of your great and sometimes not so great questions, but your questions are always great. But I'm excited for what's in store for us this year. And but every day is a process. Every day, you know, it's all about the journey and just putting in the work and then the narrative about our age. I kind of laugh at it. You know, I actually really do laugh, and I'm not just saying that. But some of the memes and some of the jokes.
I mean, it's not really a narrative. The team is aged. I mean, there's no denying that. But teams that win the championship are typically more veteran teams. So I'm not saying that's a negative standpoint as far as being able to win, because this is a 1 year. They're playing 1 year at a time. The Lakers are going all in pretty much every season, so it's not really a narrative. It's the truth. This team is aged. If this wouldn't be a long-term solution, of course. So, yeah, so I don't really consider this the narrative. It's what it is. Let's call it what it is.
Folks have been, I mean, extremely funny. and just some of it is just just trying to get people to read tabloids and things of that nature. But the game is won in between those four lines, and it's not won on the bottom ticker. It's not won in a newspaper. It's not won on sports talk shows and things of that nature. If we come out and we put the time in, we put the work in, we make our own narrative. And one thing that we know, where we are, we got a bunch of guys that's been in this league for quite a while that understands and knows what it takes to win. And that's the business that we're in, of winning, and doing it all the time and not just on occasion. So I look forward to that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What's up, Bron?
What's up, BT?
Welcome back, man.
Man, appreciate it.
How important was it for you, AD, and Jared to try to help put this team together? And what are the conversations been like with Russ on how he should fit in, how he should play his game?
Well, it was exciting, helping put this team together this summer, understanding what I felt.
GM Brian.
And we all felt that was going to help us be a title contending team, make us as explosive as we could be, both offensively and defensively. And, and we was able to do that. Obviously, it's all about putting the work in. I'm not going to sit here and talk about hypotheticals and things of that nature, but we have a team that's looking forward to putting in the work. As far as Russ, we need Russ to be Russ. We don't need Russ to change for anybody. That's why we got him.
Okay, so I talked about this a little earlier. He said we need Russ to be Russ. We need him to play his game. We don't need him to make any changes. That's the reason why we brought him here. That scares me. For the reasons that I explained before. Whether it's a half-court game or, just running all out. Very ball dominant. Is LeBron going to play off ball? That's a question. We thought that LeBron was going to play off ball when they got Lonzo, and you see that didn't happen. So is he saying that that Russell is going to be Russell, but everybody else is going to alter their game to fit, or does he think everybody can just play their game and have this all mesh? Of course, LeBron knows more about the game of basketball than I, so I'm pretty sure he got this, he's a savant with this whole thing, so I know he got the wheel spinning. He's going to figure out how to make it work, but I just don't see it working with Westbrook just doing what he does. There has to be adjustments. There's going to have to be adjustments. I'm not so sure about that statement, but maybe that's just him appeasing Russell Westbrook right now, keeping him happy, maybe. But, yeah.
And it's our job to all help him feel comfortable in our system, and he's going to be as dynamic as he's always been, so I look forward to that.
Kyle, go ahead. Hi, LeBron. Welcome back. We've seen some of the social media from workouts specifically with you and Russ. I'm wondering, with him as a workout partner, a future teammate, what's that been like? Is there something unique that he brings to the gym when you guys are in there together?
Just his passion alone. Very passionate about the sport, very passionate about his craft, and very passionate about, putting in the work. And one thing about it, I can respect all those things. We've been tied at the hip pretty much since we made the acquisition, and we're going to continue to be that. We're going to hold each other accountable. AD's going to hold us accountable. We're going to hold AD accountable because it's going to start in with us. So, we look forward to that. And we look forward to continuing to getting better and figuring out ways we can be the best team we can be by bringing our individual talents to that.
LeBron, over here. Good to see you, first of all. Rob told us last week that this team is going to be 100% vaccinated by opening night. How big of a priority was that as a leader for this team to...
Okay, so you listen to LeBron talk. He's saying all the right things. This is media day, so he's definitely not going to cause any waves or anything like that. So LeBron is pretty standard, and I hope that they have a different plan for Russ. But let's go ahead and go to Russ. Let's go to Russ's interview.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Russell, how are you?
Jump in there.
Going to Jim Hill right
Hey,
here.
what's up, baby?
Good
How
to
you
see
doing,
you again.
man?
Good, good.
You all right?
How does it make you feel when you hear LeBron? We was talking a little while ago about he was saying we want Russell to be Russell. We want him to do what he does. We want him to just carry the load here. That's a heck of a compliment coming from.
So you see Jim Hill, the great Jim Hill, is asking the same question that we were just talking about. And I know he has that same concern as well, because he wouldn't have just asked that, because that's big news for him, LeBron, to say that. And so let's go ahead and check out his response.
From someone of his stature.
Yeah, man, and you know, it's you know, when you come to a team and you come to a new team and guys welcome you with open arms, you know, to me, I just take it as a sense of, I know I have a job, I know I have to go out and compete, but alongside I'm gonna make sure that I take that and make sure I make those guys better. So my job is to make sure I uplift Bron, AD, make sure those guys are competing at the highest level, and making sure I make my teammates around me better.
And so what he said, and he's absolutely right, and this is where I may be going wrong with Westbrook, because I'm acknowledging that Westbrook is a no doubter Hall of Famer, right? And so I think where I could be going wrong with this is that I'm assuming that Russ is just going to come here and play the exact same way that he's played, you know, in Washington, or that he played in OKC, or even Houston, and not maybe giving him credit for having the IQ that a Hall of Famer should have, where he's on a team with AD and he's on a team with LeBron. And so, not that the Lakers had to wheel him in, but he's going to do that to himself. He's going to be kind of focusing on getting LeBron involved, or vice versa, or getting AD involved and actually passing out to these shooters. Not that he's not a passer anyway. He does that all the time. And so I may not be giving Westbrook enough credit for him to make the necessary adjustments. It's just that when I hear that he's just going to play the same way, that scares me. But he's a smart dude, so he's probably going to make the necessary adjustments himself. But it's definitely still a question that we all have to see, and it's going to be interesting to see it this year.
Listening to your teammates talk, they're talking about them coming up to your level of, as far as excitement is concerned, and getting the ball up the floor. Yeah,
you know, that's what I bring to the table. It's one of my things I take pride in, and making sure that each and every night I bring the energy and effort and the speed and the pace. And alongside that, I'll make sure I can continue to bring those guys along and help them along the way.
Hey Russ, Mike Trudell with the Lakers and Spectrum Sportsnet. LeBron said that since you signed, you've in some ways been attached with the hip, and I just wondered what it's been like building that connection for somebody you played against for a lot of years and with on Team USA, but just what you've learned about each other over these last couple of months.
Pulled through until obviously now. So be able to sit here and talking to you guys and be in this Laker uniform is just a blessing just for me. And my family and my loved ones and the people here that support me. Can pop, he can space the floor, and that creates an advantage for us, you know, each and every night, because Laker uniform is just a blessing just for me and my family and my loved ones and the people here that support me, especially being from LA and being able to kind of be back home, you know, finally. It's just a blessing. I'm happy and super excited about it.
Hey Russ, AD and Frank were just talking to us about him playing more center this season, and I'm curious, what does AD at the 5 do for you guys offensively in terms of just the spacing and the driving lanes?
I mean, it can be deadly, because AD is obviously one of the best players in the world. He can play inside, he can shoot it, can kind of pretty much do everything. Him at the 5, you never know, you know, where he's going to be. He can roll, he can pop, he can space the floor. And that creates an advantage for us, you know, each and every night, because I don't really know if there's nobody in the world that can guard him at the 5 or the 4. It doesn't really matter, but him at the 5 really gives us an advantage, I believe.
Hey.
So very smart. He talks about pretty much everything that we've already said already, but very smart, intelligent guy. So, I'm starting to feel better about it. I'm starting, I was a little scared, but I'm starting to feel better about, maybe I just talked myself into it, but I'm starting to feel better about the outlook of the season. I know they're going to figure it out, but I'm like, are we going to take a few bumps and bruises in the middle of it? And probably will. But I see that, smart guys playing together, we're going to figure this out. So I'm not going to go through the entire squad. I wanted to go through the main three. And so training camp starts tomorrow. So more videos to come. We're going to talk about the roster and how that fits, who's going to start at the 2 guard. And so these are a lot of things that we're going to talk about. So be on the lookout for videos to come. If you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate you and I'm humbled by it. And please hit that subscribe and like and notification buttons, and so you can be notified once I drop another video. All right, guys. Thanks.